Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I thought I would sit down and do a declutter video. Because I'm getting back into makeup, but I haven't played with makeup for almost 3 months, I realized in that little break that I have a lot of makeup that I won't be touching again because things just don't work for me, and I've been going through a lot of drawers lately and just moving things around constantly, and I'm over just having makeup sitting there and knowing that I'm not going to be using it. So I thought I would get everything that I'm basically not going to be using again. Some things I'm going to keep, but I will talk about them in this video anyway and give you my quick review on those products. But most of these items I am not going to be keeping. So we have some eyeshadow palettes, we've got foundations, concealers, setting powders, we have bronzers, blushes, lots of single eyeshadows as well. Then lastly, a whole lot of highlighters. Now in this video, I'm not going to be going through any lip products just because I haven't gone through any of my lip products in a while. But eventually I will go through all my lip products. I know I have a whole lot of lip glosses that are 3-4 years old that I'm not going to be putting on my lips because they are well past their use by date. So eventually I'll get through that. But for now, I'm just going to go through this. I think I probably got $1,000 worth of makeup in front of me that I'm going to declutter today easily. So let's get straight into it. The first items we're going to be talking, let's talk about some blush and face products. So I've got 2 cream blushes from Fenty Beauty. Now I've had these for I think a year plus. We got 2 shades. We've got the shade Virgo Flush 1, and then we've got Daiquiri Dip. Now I bought these when I went to Sephora with Lottie, the first Sephora that was opened here in Perth. And I got these 2 shades. I've got this beautiful one, which I thought I would use all the time. The next shade we do have is a yellowy, like mustard orangey shade. That's the shade. I don't know why I got this color. I don't know. I thought I would be creative, and well, I just found it really hard for me to work with. And I watched multiple people try these in their makeup reviews, but also other blushes and any tips that they had, and it just didn't work for me. So I'm just going to declutter these because I don't want to have to fight with a product, and I had to fight with those constantly and reapply, and it just didn't work. I'm also going to declutter this this one here. It is another cream blush, Melania Cosmetics. It's a beautiful color. It just didn't work for me, so I'm going to declutter that. And then we also have this like hot reddish pink one as well, which I'm gonna declutter. So I tried all of these products, they just didn't work for me. I do have some cream products as well. We've got the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. Now this was a purchase I regret. I wish I hadn't purchased it. I thought I would try this cream bronzer because everyone was talking about it. I got it. I barely used it. Like, I've used it a couple times. It looks like I haven't, but I really have. I just dipped my beauty blender in it. I'm going to declutter this because it didn't work for me. I think I might actually see if my sister likes it because I've used it once or twice. The reason I didn't use this more was because I actually got the Fenty Beauty one. So I got both of them at the same time. Now the Fenty Beauty one, as you can see, I've tried multiple times. I've used it quite a lot. And it didn't work for me. So I'm going to declutter this one because I've used it a lot. And again, these are over a year old. This one's barely touched. I'll see if my sister wants to use it. I don't know if she likes cream products, but I'll give it to her to try. I know she does have the powder bronzer, which I do have as well, in the shade 3 Tan Door. We love that bronzer, but I don't know if she uses cream products. If she does, she can try it. If she doesn't like it, she can just throw it away. This one I'm just going to throw away because I've used it too much and it's a bit unsanitary. This one I've used once or twice, and yeah, I just think cream products are not for me. So I'm not going to buy any cream products in the future for my face besides obviously foundation, concealer. Everything else probably not, just powder base. And then guys, we do have some more blushes. These are actually powder ones. This one here is from Ox Cosmetics. This is from Kmart. It's a peachy blush. The reason I don't want this is just because it has so much fallout and it falls out everywhere and it's a bit hard to control, and it doesn't really have that much pigment when I tried it. So I'm just going to get rid of that one. We also have this one here, the Savvy Beauty by D. What the hell was that? Alright guys, I have no idea what that noise was, but my cat was awakened and now he's sitting next to me. So if you hear him meowing, that's just him next to me. I don't know what that noise was, but it was on the roof, and it is currently 3:49 a.m. So Yeah. Anyway, let's get straight back into it. So like I was saying, we've got this beautiful blush here. This is from Savvy Beauty. It is a bright pink blush. I bought it for $5 from Priceline. I'm going to declutter it. It is a bit powdery. It does have quite a lot of pigment, but I haven't used it just because I've been reaching for my Manny MUA and Laura Lee blush palette. So I'm going to just declutter it. It's over 2 years old. We're going to declutter it. And then guys, we do have some setting powders. We've got a Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, but this is the glow one. And it did not work for me, and I also gave it to my sister to try, and she didn't like how glowy it was. I love the traditional Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. I've actually got a baby version, so I'm going to keep that. But this one here, I'm going to declutter. What is that noise? I don't know what's on my roof. Anyway, this one I'm kind of sad to let go because it's like worth $65 Australian, but it's not going to work for me. My sister doesn't want it, and I don't know anyone else that would like to try it. So we're going to declutter it. It's also a year and a half, almost 2 years old. So we'll declutter that. The next one we have is from Smashbox. Now this, the lid comes off this one. It's got powder all over it, and it gets everywhere. So I'm just going to declutter it because I haven't used it, and it just gets everywhere. So yeah, this one, not a huge fan of, just because the packaging failed me, and it's going everywhere in my drawers and all over my desk right now, which is a shame. Then goes onto the foundation. So we've got two foundations here. We've also got an eyeshadow primer and also a color corrector. So let's talk about these two foundations. We've got this one here from Fenty Beauty. Now this is in the shade 200. I didn't really like the way this wore on my face. It didn't really do anything, hide any blemishes. I like a full coverage moment, and this didn't really do anything for me. When I do my makeup, I usually do my makeup, and then I'm staying indoors all day for the rest of the day. So I usually just have it on when I'm either cleaning, cooking, editing videos, all of that. So sometimes I do have my makeup on for 13 hours, and this did not last at all. And also I do have the concealer, and I wasn't a huge fan of the concealer either, so I'm going to declutter this, and when I find the concealer again, I'm going to declutter it as well. I might actually give it to my sister to try because she might like it, but for me it didn't really work for my complexion because I am a man. I like a full coverage. My sister doesn't have to hide it as much, and her skin's a lot less porous than mine is. Porous is what I'm trying to say. So I'll give that to her to try. We also have this one here from Oxbloom. Again, another Kmart brand, and it was only $5. I'm going to declutter it because it's too light for me. And also, I prefer my other foundations, and I think it's starting to separate. It's been in my drawer that long, so we'll declutter that one. We have this Sephora color corrector, and man, this is not worth it at all. Not worth it at all. It comes in a nice glass component, but it's too peachy and stuff for me, and it oxidized deeper than what it's actually in the tube. So once it lay down on my face and I was trying to blend it out, it went really orange for me, and I didn't want it to go twice as dark as what's in the tube. That's basically how dark it went, so I'm not going to use that one. The next one we have is this one from Essence. Now this is an eyeshadow base. I did try to use it. It's like an eyeshadow primer. It's very clear, but I just didn't like how my eyeshadows lay down on it, and it creased a lot, so I'm just going to declutter it. I did give it a good try. I probably used it about 10 times. The good thing about this is you don't need a lot when you do use it. It just didn't really work with my eyeshadow. I just found it really patchy. Eyeshadows I've tried before that weren't patchy were patchy with this, so I'm going to declutter that. And guys, that is basically all my face stuff besides the highlighters. So let's get straight into, let's talk about the highlighters. Since we're talking about the other products, let's talk about highlighters. We have this Benefit Dandelion Twinkle. I think it's a highlighter. It's pretty, but I just don't really like the color. As you can see, I've used it, and it's been in my drawer for over 2 years, so I'm just going to declutter it because, yeah, I can't see myself using that shade at all, or that product. We do have this Galactic blushy highlighter shade. I don't really know what it is. I got it in my Lumi box almost 2 years ago. That's the highlighter there. It is a cream based highlighter, and we all know how I feel about cream products. Those are the shades there. They're not really my skin tone, and I'm just going to declutter it because it's over 2.5 years old. The next highlighter we're talking about is from e.l.f. and this is in the shade Rose Gold. Now the reason I don't like this is it's very pretty, probably not my shade. It is a bit deep for me, but I find it very, very hard pan. You don't get much product when you swatch it. Like, it's very, very hard pan, and I don't want to fight with a highlighter. I just want it to get on my brush and get on my face. It's not really nice. I'm going to declutter it. It was like $5 or $6 when it came out. I think it was on sale at the time. So we'll just declutter it. The next one we have is from Melt. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful highlighter. The wrong shade for me. This is in the shade Nova, and you'll see why it's the wrong shade for me. Look how deep that is. Like, this is so pretty, like a deep bronzy gold. Way too deep for me. I know my sister likes gold highlighters, so I'm going to pass it on to her. Hopefully she uses it. If not, then she can pass it on to somebody else. I shouldn't have kept all these things for this long, but you know, life catches up with you and all that type of stuff. And then speaking of Melt, we do have this Melt little single shadow. Very pretty, but I'm not going to use it, and I'm just going to declutter it. It's between a shimmer and a satin, so it's not really my favorite. And the colour's okay. It's nothing that I would rave about. It's between like an orangey, pinky shade. Yeah, it's not really my shade, so I'm just going to declutter that one. We do have this highlighter palette from Pat McGrath. Now, I wanted this one for such a long time, but it is not worth the money in my opinion. I think it cost me $105 Australian from Sephora, and it's not giving me what I want out of a highlighter. Oh, sorry, it's, yeah. This is what it looks like. It's almost like a baked formula, which first of all is not my favorite. I did swatch it in the store and it's really pretty, but once I've tried it on my face with my base products, it's nothing to rave about, so I'm just going to pass it on. We've got a deep gold shade, which is way too deep for me. We've got like a bronzy gold shade, which is not for me. And then this one is between a white champagne, but it's got reflexes of like reddish pink, and not my favorite. So I'm just going to pass it on. The formula was a bit of a letdown. I've actually got a Pat McGrath eyeshadow to talk about later in this video that I'm going to declutter. I don't think Pat McGrath is worth the money in my opinion, so I won't be buying anything from Pat McGrath anytime soon. So guys, that is all my face and highlighter products done. Let's talk about eyeshadow. So we have a mixture of palettes and also single eyeshadows. We're going to go into the single eyeshadows. I got my tweezers here because I do find it hard to open some of these sometimes. So this one here is from Dose of Colors. It is in the shade Caffeine Queen. This is what the component looks like, really, really pretty. And then the actual shade itself is a deep shimmer brown. Now, I like this shade, but I haven't used it in almost 2 years and it's starting to dry out like hard pan. It's a nice shade, but it's just not one that I would use anytime soon. Like, it's a really deep brown that is stunning, but it's just not something that I can see myself reaching for. So we're just going to declutter it because I haven't used it in over a year, and why keep something that you haven't used in a year and you can't see yourself using anymore. So we'll pass that on. The next two shades are from Mecca Max. We've got a jade green shimmer and a deep blue shimmer. They are in the shades 90s Kid, which is the blue one, and Space Jam is the metallic jade shade color, greeny shade one. Those two, I just didn't really like the payoff in them. I don't know when I got them. I think they were on sale, and I tried some of their single shadows, and it's very crumbly. It's pretty, but it's very, very crumbly. And yeah, I haven't used these again in over a year. I got these almost, I think, when COVID started, or just in the middle of COVID when we could still go to the shops, but you had to like hand sanitize and everything like that, and you could only have 10 or 15 people in the store at one time. So that's when I got these, and I haven't used them very often since then, so we'll get rid of those two shades. The next one we have is from e.l.f. This is one of their liquid eyeshadows. This is the iridescent white silver shade, really, really pretty. I did try to get a red shade that they had a couple of years ago, but it never got sold at Kmart here in Australia. I got the black, the gold, and this shade. The black and gold I decluttered ages ago. This one I did try multiple times because I just really love the payoff, but when it dries down it cracks and then flakes off all over my face. So I'm just going to declutter that one. Now we have a whole lot of singles, so we've spent a lot of money on these singles in particular. This one here I've talked about in a TikTok video. I don't know what the shade name is. I'm going to put it on the screen. It is from the brand which I felt I'm just going to put it on the screen. This is what the cap looks like, and then the actual component is very, very pretty. It is a cream single shadow, and the shade is stunning. It is stunning. Now, I tried it in store on the back of my hand, and I just had to get it. It works perfectly as an inner corner highlighter, but on the actual eye, because I've got hooded eyes and I crease a lot, it transfers everywhere and it just gets messy. This is the shade there. It is so pretty. I'm just waiting for the lights to go down a bit. Like the iridescent white, pink and purple shades in it are stunning. Now I paid, I think, $60 Australian for this one little pot, and yeah, I will never buy a cream product for the eyes ever again. I won't be decluttering this just because it does still work as an inner corner highlighter, but it doesn't work as a cream eyeshadow like it's meant to be, for me anyways. The next ones we've got are from Nikita Joy Cosmetics. Now I bought 4 of their loose pigments. I have talked about how these don't work for me multiple times, and they cost me $25 each, not including shipping or handling or any of that stuff. I got the shade Mermaid. I also got Mirage, which kind of works for me. Out of the 4, that's the one that works the most for me. We've got Wisteria, and then we've got Azure. These are what the components look like. We've got the shades there. They are meant to transfer and have a color shift in different lighting. We've got the deep green one, which is the one that works the best for me. And then we've got this beautiful like aqua bluish green, which is the shade Mermaid. They don't work for me. That's $100 gone. So I'm going to declutter them because I've had multiple attempts to get them to work for me. I've only got the green one to kind of work for me in one look, but it was a lot of work and a lot of fallout on my face. I have since learnt that loose eyeshadows just don't seem to work for me, so we are going to declutter them, and I don't think I will buy a loose eyeshadow ever again. I think there's only one that's worked for me that I really like. The rest just don't work for me. And because we're speaking of loose eyeshadows, I got some more loose eyeshadows that don't work for me. So these retailed for $40 each, so that's $160, and then I think there was about $20 shipping included. Now these are Carla Cosmetics. I think I'm saying that right. The writing is very tiny, but I fell in love with their Instagram shorts and reels because the eyeshadows look stunning when they were applied. I watched multiple YouTube videos of how people apply these. I bought all the mixing mediums that told me to buy. When I got these, I don't know why they don't work for me. Now once I mixed it with the mixing medium, it applied okay, not amazingly. I had to work with it, but I actually got it down. But once it dried down, it started to crack, almost like a mud flat, you know, when it's baked and the side it cracks. That's how it looked, and then it started to flake off in big chunks. And that might be just because I'm hooded, but I couldn't get these to work, and for $40 each I was really upset because I'd saved my money. I actually bought these for myself for Christmas, and these were a huge letdown for me, and I will not be buying anything from this brand again. We do also have some Galactic single loose shadows that I'm going to declutter just because, again, loose eyeshadows don't really work for me. These are actually glitter, so you actually need a glitter glue to have these to actually work for me, and I just find it a lot of work for something that does crease on my hooded eyes. So I'm just going to declutter those. And then guys, we do have one last single eyeshadow. This is a purple MAC single eyeshadow, really pretty. I have had this for almost 2.5 years. It's in the shade Violet, and it's a beautiful shade. I did use this the other day, and I just found it quite dry because it's just really old. It is still really pretty, but it is quite dry, and it is a lot of hard work to apply. I actually had to press down on the back of my hand to actually get a swatch as good as I have there. And guys, that is all the loose eyeshadows. Now guys, let's get into the eyeshadow palette. So we've got 2 eyeshadow palettes from Odin's Eye. We do have quite a few other eyeshadow palettes from Odin's Eye, but these 2 I'm actually going to declutter. Now this one here is the Nose. This is what the palette looks like, really pretty. The only reason I've still got this palette is these 2 corner shades. I love the greeny bluey shades. The rest of the shades just didn't really do it for me. Yeah, I didn't really like this palette besides those 2 shades. So I'm going to try and save those 2 shades, but the rest of the palette I'm just going to declutter. Then we have this one here, which is that, oh god, I don't know the name. This is what the packaging looks like. The only reason I've kept this palette is for this blue. I have to swatch it for you. It is very crumbly though. I feel like I have to press that back in. But that blue is such a beautiful blue. It has kind of crumbled all over my palette. So I think I'm going to have to declutter that as well. The next palette we have is from She Glam. I got this palette from Pure Lottie because she tried it. She didn't really like it, but I wanted to try the formula. This is what the palette looks like. The formula's okay, but it's nothing crazy, so I'm just going to declutter it. We do have this one here, which is the Tartelette Pro Tarte palette. Now this is the first Tarte palette I've ever got, and I got this from a Lumi box mystery box. So Lumi had a mystery box besides the actual box you get every month, and I got this full-size palette in it. Really pretty neutral color story. Love this palette. Smells really nice, but this palette is over 2.5 years old. This was my first ever Tarte palette, and I did use this quite a lot just because I didn't really have very many neutral palettes at the time. Before, I used to only buy color palettes and not have any neutral palettes, and this was my go-to neutral palette. But because it's such an old palette and I haven't used it in over a year, I'm going to declutter it, even though it's a beautiful palette. And then guys, my most expensive palette in my collection is this one from Pat McGrath, and this is the Mothership V palette. It is the palette with the red shade in it, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, the shimmers just have tons and tons of fallouts. The mattes are okay, but in this palette you only get 3 mattes, and it's not worth $215 for 3 mattes. I don't use the shimmers in this palette. I just find the shimmers go everywhere all over my face. They look really impressive in the pan, but as you can see, they have tons and tons of fallout. That is one of the shades there. Really pretty. I don't think the lights will let me show you what the shade looks like. It's just not worth the money in my opinion. It's a lot of work. The mattes blend out nicely, but the shimmers are a lot of work to contain, and it was a huge letdown for me, so I'm not going to get a Pat McGrath palette ever again. And with that guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit of a different declutter video. A lot of times the camera is actually just pointing at the products on the desk, and you can just see the hands of the swatches. But I thought I would sit down and kind of give you a quick review on each of the products and why I'm decluttering them. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And also check out my Instagram and TikTok, because I do post a lot of things on there that I don't film on here. And with that guys, until next time, stay safe and I'll see you later. All my love. Bye.